Sometimes we would sit in the sala, uh, the meeting halls in the forest monasteries, forest monastery in Thailand. We I lived as a forest monk, so we lived in the forest, and there was always a meeting hall for monks, and usually it was something that had a floor, was off the ground, often a teak floor, though the wood was teak, and it would have a roof, but it wouldn't usually have walls, but it have a a large sloping roof and a floor and an altar for sure, and maybe benches where the monks would sit when the lay people were there, so where the monks would take their meals, where the monks and nuns would take their meals. But depending on the time of year, the achan, the teacher, would be teaching, and not all the time. Actually, not all the time at all, but at times they were. And I could remember sitting on the floor of the sala at the Achan Chah monastery, and Achan Chah or somebody else would be teaching, and there was this there was this sense of this tremendous stillness that would be there, and we would be sitting on the floor, we'd be sitting in the sala, and listening to the jungle at night and listening to the sounds of the forest, listening to the sounds of the forest. And sometimes nothing would be said for a while, or there'd be a lot of pause between sentences. And there was this sense of aliveness being in the jungle, being in the forest, and listening to all this miraculous um, expression in the forest around you. And then listening to the teachings of the Dharma, listening to the teachings of the teacher. And often with the teachers, and especially when you're in retreat and there was that sort of mood in the monastery, there would be a real sense of stillness, a real sense of quietness in the hall, in the Dharma hall. And there would be a real sense of stillness or quietness that the teacher would be expressing in the teachings, and that the teacher would be expressing in their presence. But there was also a real aliveness, a real aliveness. For those of you who knew Namgyal Rinpoche, a real aliveness was there, just as there was in the jungle, in the sounds of the jungle at night. So even though they were pointing to, directing us to this quietness, this place of quiet observation, this place of quiet stillness, which I think is what the Dharma is doing, what the teaching is, or what the meditation teaching is to bring us to this place of, I could say awareness, but what if I use the word pristine awareness? Does that give you another sense? They would be pointing to this pristine awareness. Within that, there's a element of tremendous clarity, for me, tremendous clarity and a sense of real aliveness. It's not just, yeah, I'm aware of that over there. I know that's going on. But pristine awareness is this is an expression, is an expression. It's not something that's added on to awareness. It's a deeper experience of awareness. It's a deeper experience of awareness. It's a more full experience of awareness. So in the practices that we're doing here, they're moving us towards that quality of mind, that quality of pristine awareness. The Achan in the Dharma hall in the Thai forest was speaking from that place and was pointing you towards that place. In the middle of it, in the middle of the jungle, in the middle of all this life and death that was taking place at every moment. All of this, all of this. So we're pointing to this quality of awareness, this quality of pristine awareness that includes everything else. That includes everything else. That includes the sudden noise. That includes the discomfort in the body. That includes the discomfort in the mind. That includes the mood, the reaction that comes and goes. That includes the feeling of despair. That includes the feeling of joy. That includes the feeling of wonderment. That includes the feeling of hopelessness. All of that, all of that is included. So, in this practice, we develop the skill of meditation, which we've all done a very good job at, I know. We develop this skill, and then, I know I've said this term lots, we look into the face of awareness. When the mind gets relatively quiet, we are no longer being pulled away by content, and we're investigating this quality of awareness. And when we investigate this quality of awareness, we come to this place of this pristine quality, this clarity. And when we've connected with that, even if it's for a moment, then we understand that that includes, that is not separate from anything else. It's like you have a water gun and it's a summer day and you shoot it up towards the sun and you see the reflection of the light in it. You see the rainbow colors in it, of the spray of water as it's moving up towards the sun, disseminating and falling back to earth. That's the nature of experience. That's the nature of experience. Despair, cloudiness, happiness, joy, failure, good mood, good morning, bad morning. When we see it through the lens, if you will, of pristine awareness, we understand it's all part of the same thing. It's all part of the same thing. So the daily practice is to find that relatively quiet, open place. And then look directly at the nature of our experience. Look directly at awareness. Look directly at the knowing factor. Pristine awareness. That knowing is free of any defilements or any sense of it being tainted. It's not touched by anything. It doesn't matter if despair is there. It doesn't matter if happiness is there. It doesn't change its nature. It doesn't change what it is. So we have an experience, we have a sensation, we have a thought, we take the water gun, we shoot it up towards the sun, we see this display, and then it's gone. Whatever that display is. But to the mind that's connected with the source of this awareness, to the mind that's looking directly into the face of this awareness, it's all the same. So, this is a very high level of teaching, if you will, but it's really what it's about. It's really the essence of it. And all of the work we've done up to now, and all the work we continue to do to watch the mind, to be mindful, to develop concentration, to develop calm, is to bring us to this place. And it's forever so. It's forever so. And don't expect to be aware of this at all times, but begin to understand that it is here at all times. How could it be otherwise? So when we talk about it in terms of view, meditation, and conduct, this is the view. Whatever the experience is, it's an experience of awareness. And in the meditation, we bring our mind to a place of relative stability and quietness, and we look directly into that. And when that experience is not tainted, is not clouded over by anything else in the mind, that's when you understand the term pristine awareness. That's when you understand the term pristine awareness. So this is what we're developing. This is what we're learning to recognize. And at some point, there is also the understanding that this isn't something that we grab onto. This is something that we relax into, that we open, that we receive, that we open to, that we receive. This isn't something you create. You create supportive conditions, but at some point you just let go and open up. Let go and open up. What does that mean? What it means is let go and open up. But we have to experience it, right? That quality of awareness, that quality of stillness, that quality of quietness has already let go. It's already happened. Because as we move towards that quietness, as we move towards that bliss, anapanasati, working with the breath, as we move towards that bliss, the letting go just happens because we're not following. We're relaxing into, we're opening up into. And that is the hardest thing to learn. Seems like the hardest thing to learn. I started the talk this evening talking about our busyness and doing, and how at times we need to, just be spontaneous, be with whatever comes up, be joyful, be creative, have fun. That opens us up to this experience that I'm talking about. You know, common thing amongst meditators who are doing, who are practicing or doing retreats or doing a lot of practice is the moments of seeing that you have are often not on the cushion. On the cushion, you're creating the conditions. But then when we get off the cushion, we kind of let go of trying to be so focused, of trying to be so mindful. And there's a gap that happens when we're working with mindfulness, working with awareness, working with concentration a lot, and then we're just moving through our day. Because we're no longer trying to force anything. We're allowing ourselves to be spontaneous. We're allowing the river to flow, not trying to hold on to one part of it. So we're settling into this quietness, we're settling into this pristine awareness, this act of clarity. And the jungle is all around us, but the Dharma is within us. and we develop that. And the Dharma talks you receive, the Dharma that you read, with the things that you know to be true, keep them close to your heart and work with them during the day. Keep them close to your heart and work with them during the day. Develop them during the day. You got a busy day. You got pressures. You got things to do. But what are you keeping close to your heart? What has the most meaning? Find that quietness. Find that stability within yourself, where you're sitting in the middle of the jungle. Have people sat in the middle of jungles? Have people been in the jungles? There's lots of activity at night. There are in Thailand, there's snakes around, different types of snakes, and they would hunt at night, and you could actually hear them slither through the leaves, and you every once in a while you'd hear a yelp. Somebody got caught by a snake, and you'd hear a tussle sometimes, very a tussle, and then there'd be quietness. And when you're meditating, it's kind of interesting because then you start to, I had these places I stayed that I knew, one place in particular, actually most places, but there's one place, there was a cobra that lived very nearby to my hut. And at times you got to know when he was out around hunting. And you'd be waiting to hear something. And then you hear this poor little creature like screech. It's like, oh, all of this. And then you go back to the Dharma teaching and you realize that all of that is contained in it. One day I was walking back from the morning meal, and if there's ever a time where you're unmindful, it's when especially when you have one meal a day, you have a big meal, and you're feeling, that high you get from food you eat, and you're in a good mood, and maybe not quite paying as much attention, and all your suffering has gone away for 5 minutes anyway. You're in a happy place. So I'm walking back from the sala. I had my meal, and I don't know where I was, but suddenly I stopped, and in between my legs was a cobra. True story, a cobra, and he had a great big toad. He had a great big toad in his mouth, and he had his fangs in the toad. And I stopped mid-step. He was right between my legs. And I'm like, man, I got to be more mindful. And the snake looked up at me like this, with his one eye. And I realized what he was doing was he was paralyzing the toad before he swallowed him. I guess it's better for the digestive system if you swallow a paralyzed toad. You wouldn't want that toad like flopping around in as it's going through the pyloric valve, or it's moving through the small intestine. Oh, anyway, um, so I realized what was going on, and then I walked on. But there's always that, when you lived in the jungle, there's always that sense of danger was always around. And you learn just, I didn't know anybody that died. I didn't know anybody that got bit by a snake, but they were around. They were around. You'd certainly see them, and you'd see the villagers would kill them. If they saw them, they would stone them. So you'd see stoned pit vipers and branded crates and cobras and what have you. So they were all around. So that uncertainty was always there. But you realize, you watch the other monks that lived in the jungle, and the trick was that you just close your eyes and run really quick and hope nothing got you. No, the the trick was just to be calm and mindful, you know, and to through move through your day. One of the paths I walked and one of the places I stayed, there was a cobra around. I knew he was around, and he knew I was around. He was cool with me. But you just remained calm, and you just remained steady, and you remained present. And then when you didn't, you looked down and there was a cobra between your legs, right? So, but it's it's life, and it's always like this. Whether you're living in an apartment in Ottawa, or a house in the suburbs, or other places. There's always danger, there's always uncertainty, there's always a lot of activity that we can't control. But when we discover this pristine awareness, this quality of awareness that is what we are, when we discover that, then we begin to see how it's not separate, it doesn't take us away from any of our experiences, and that we always have that as a base. Always have that as a base. And that's magic. That's magic. We have this inherent thing within us. Now, I'm going to use this word again because it's a feeling. It's pristine and it's pure and it's vibrant and it's love and it's awareness. So contemplate these words. And how do we develop it? Just what we've been doing. We get quiet, we get still, we move towards that, and we look into the face of awareness. And it begins to show us its qualities. And don't sweat what comes up. Don't be afraid to be spontaneous. Don't hold on too tightly to how your practice should be, how your day should be, how your morning should go. Because it doesn't change this quality of awareness at all. It doesn't change it.